Couple of different copper-based Raku glazes, and I learned that a lot of Raku glazes have really high metal content. I'm assuming because you don't want to add too much like silica, or else it's not going to melt in the time frame, right? Because it's relatively low fire, only going to about like this temperature. I have a little element right on this middle part here. You'll see it come around. I'm really a fan of this little moment there sticking off. It's something that you get when you trim off the bottom and you get a little spot. So let's just do this nicely. There you go. Sweet. And I want to set this down way too fast. There we go. Teapot element, right? The interior here is kind of interesting for the fact that it's so long. And why is it so long? You might ask. Well, if I set this in here, and if I take this up and I try to dump this out, do you see how it actually holds onto it, right? And so part of that is like when you're pouring tea, you know, it doesn't, when you go to pour, the lid doesn't fall out. And so what I want to do first today is I actually want to try to make a lizard. And so you might be thinking, what do you mean a lizard? A lizard on the wheel? What are you talking about, man? Well, I have a student who's obsessed with dragons. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just throwing off the hump. When you're throwing off the hump, you don't need all this stuff on the bottom really doing anything too crazy, right? So I'm just going to be centering this top little chunk, right? You can see that top little chunk. I'm going to go take my thumb in, thumb out, and then thumb up, right? And there you go. You already have a small little cup, a little vessel, right? Just with one move, you can do a couple of things and save time. And I'm going to pull this up ever so slightly. I don't want to get the walls too thin, but I just want to get them evened out here. First, create a head and a body, right? The tail, I'm planning on just cutting these off and then pulling the base of it into a tail. And then I'm also thinking about making little like cones out of clay and sticking them on the sides, and they'll become the arms and the legs. I don't know how I would do wings yet, and I'm not gonna like roll out a slab for it. The wings have to be discovered on the wheel. So I think that's still something I gotta figure out how to make, you know, so. But yeah, a lot of this small throwing here is just really being patient with the clay. I was a little bit too quick on that base there, I think. Anyway, we're bringing this clay in, and we're always just trying again to find this little bump, and this little bump we're taking up even when we're working small, right? And so if you ever want to make spouts, this is how you do something like that. And so I'm going to define a base, right, that I'm going to cut it off from. And so this will end up becoming the tail, so I'll squeeze that into the tail eventually. And then now I'm going to make the body of it, and so we want it to look like it has a chest. So we're going to go belly out ever so slightly, and then we're going to go in. So now, here I'm going to define that chest out a little bit more. Defining that chest out just a little bit. Bring that up, and then have it taper a little bit smoother there. Finish off the pole because it's getting a little bit thicker on the top. You want it to be even thickness, right? And as we're bellying that out, we're working so small, so even a slight difference is going to make all the difference in the world, right? On how the clay's moving at this sort of scale. So when you're working small, you really got to think, right? You got to change the way that you view scale in ceramics. Anyway, so now I'm going to make the head. So first we want to make the neck though. The neck we also want to be pretty narrow, but we're not going to go all the way narrow right away. We're going to get it relatively narrow, and then we're going to take the clay up, and we're just going to do it in sections, right? And so this is how people make like the small pottery, if you've ever seen people make the small pots and stuff. This is kind of like what they're doing, or if you're making the foot for a goblet or like a wine glass or something. It's all same, spouts same. You really can do a lot when you throw off the hump like this. And again, we're bringing that in, and we're still defining a bump. Every time we're on this wheel, we're defining that bump, right? Okay, so now we have that neck sort of defined. We're going to collar and pinch it here inwards, and we're going to go up slowly just to about that point, right? We just want to tuck in that neck ever so slightly a little bit more, get a little bit more water on our finger there. Again, you're just using the edge of that tool to help pull up that clay because you can't reach on the insides anymore right now. Okay, so there we go. There's the mouth. And we're going to bring this in right over top. Get it closed. Close that top up, right? So that way, now since it's closed, you can have a little bit more fun with the neck and how you're pinching that in. Really start to squeeze that inwards. Now it's a closed form, it's going to want to really keep that air in there so you can use the air to your advantage. And so now you can see how if this was to tilt over, right, this becomes the head. This is the nose, there's the neck, and then this is the chest. Camera C? Can you share about crown energy again? I asked during the other stream, but I had to leave before you saw. Oh, yeah, yeah. Love, mug handle. Okay, cool. Yeah, crown energy. So wait, hold on. Can you guys see my crown? It's so funny. You know, you got to think of material as like a battle, right? And you don't go into a battle thinking that you're going to lose, right? And so this idea of like crown energy is that you're trying to, and it's a little bit ego, like I'm bringing some ego into this. Like I'm coming to the clay thinking that I'm the king, right? I have this royalty in my spirit, in my actions, and I'm trying to demand something from the clay. On the wheel, like you can't be thinking that the clay is gonna beat you before you even get onto the wheel. And we'll see what we can get out of these two afterwards. Okay, here we go. Around this bottom edge, cut that off. Great. Okay, picture us right up on the bottom. It's over. Camera C. Camera C. Okay. I think you could get someone to pay you to teach courses in crown energy. That's like a way or a path that I can convey like my own thoughts and ideas through material and through not my words, but something like tangible, right? And so like it's the most important thing in my whole entire life to me, right? Like I always say, I don't like ceramics, but it's the thing that I chose, and I told myself I'd never give up on it, right? I think a lot of times for me when I was young, I gave up to the first level of adversity. I would just give up, right? And even if I was really passionate about something, I would just give it up, right? And so after a point, there was one time where I was just like, well, you know what, I'm done. I'm through with doing that anymore. I might not like the ceramic thing, but this is what I'm going to decide to devote my life to, right? And I think that's what I really just wanted, is something that I felt like had value to devote my life to. Right up underneath. And we're just going to go really slow. And we're not trying to bite too hard. We're just trying to get enough where we can push up some of that clay. We'll do it in a couple sections, right? Because since it's so thick, we have to move more amount of clay. So if we move it too fast, or if it gets off center on the base, it's really going to screw us up on the top, right? So again, we're at that base. I'm slowly projecting that inwards. I have this little bump, right? And then I'm going to start loosening up once I feel that thickness. Sort of give me some more control. There we go. Really focusing on this pole here, guys. You see how my body's getting closer because I need to raise my elbow up off my body eventually. So I want it to be really nice and tight right to my body so I don't lose any tension. Look at that, guys. What a fucking pull. What a fucking pull that one was. That was nerve-wracking, yo. Did you guys see that? Okay, we just need to round that veg that hit us back out a little bit there. Oh my lord. Okay. So, how to get through there, right? See how down fall. Just top edge. Great. And we're gonna some more emphasis on this bottom spiral here because we want it to twist. It's going to want to twist top heavy. I can already feel it. So just getting that a little bit looser. So then when we start adding some tension, we're going to get that bottom a little bit more spiraled than what it would have normally done. And we're going to be out with our fingers here. Take a deep breath, add some water. Taking that all the way out on that rim there, you can see, and I'm having my pinky skate across the edge. I think I did an okay job, so I'm just going to smooth these ones out. Well, I think I should do a twist on maybe a couple of them like that. But for the most part, we'll leave them how they are. So that clay off underneath there, get that water off there, great. Okay, so there's pot number 2. Right, pretty cool, right? Bottom edge there. Create a nice little spiral around his face. I'm going to take this edge up. I'm going to start bringing that into a volcano, 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 very slowly. Great. Anyway, back down to the bottom. Knuckle right on this edge. Knuckle going in ever so slightly to find that bump. Don't push too much of the clay. You just want to even out the walls. We're even out the walls. We're even out the walls. There we go. Sweet. Back down to the bottom. We have another knuckle pull that we can do. Right? So we're back down there. We're taking our knuckle, projecting that up. Right underneath our finger on the interior. And there we go. Now we got this bump. And then we're getting to the middle stage. Oh, it's getting a little bit thin. Loosen up that pressure. Loosen up that pressure. And there we go. Now we're ready for some height pull. Do a little collar right on the top edge. Directing this bump outward. So push, 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 push. Find that bump. Say thank you, Clay, so much for the gift, the quest, and the journey. As we take up this bump all the way to the top. Squeeze a little bit right at that lip. There you go. Sometimes the lip is the thing that really maintains too much thickness. A little bit hard, so I give it a little bit of extra focus. Anyway, collar up right at starting at the middle. Really exaggerate that collar. Hook our finger right on that edge. We got one more pull out of this thing. And there we go. We got our 2 fingers on the inside. And we got a little bump. You see the bump? Look at this thing. We're taking the bump up. It's getting a little bit more down. I'm going to speed up ever so slowly. And look at where my elbows lean off. Okay, so look how high I am here, guys, okay? Now look at my elbow. You see my elbow? How it's tucked right in my body. It's like glue. Because eventually I have to kind of pick up off my leg, right? And so that's one of the hardest parts is there becomes a transition point of your body. You have to figure out how you're going to support yourself. And so you see how, oh, you might be okay. I think that's as much as we're going to get. You see how slowly he's trying to creep up that side? But we did get a cool spiral on this, right? It just looks phenomenal. I think this one's actually pretty nice. Then we got our big puppy here. Big puppy here. It's a lot of clay, and you get some height in there. But I think the things that I like most about it, it almost looks like I paused it halfway through, right? Like halfway through it actually fell, right? But I got it back up, and then I was like, like let's just have it chill as what it is right now. It looks like it's wanting, right? It's wanting to become, right? Especially in correlation to some of the other pots. And then we got the one opening up to the top. Like look, it's opening up right to the top, into the sky, into this ether above us, And I think that those pots really look kind of nice. There's a good contrast between the middle kind of being my thickness here, Like it's a me thickness, Pottery Demon thickness, and then opens up pretty wide on the top. I like that contrast there as well. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. All the best, and strong mentality.